Horrible day it was.
This indie guitar.
This graveyard would be a lot smaller if I had been in charge.
Tim Walz is cooked. He is screwed. I mean, Tim Walz is running for the hills.
It won't rest until all of the bright children of my beloved dream. I love New York. I'm from New York.
Bobby, thank you so much for being a friend to Israel. I've given you unlimited access to our roadkill. We invented hitting an animal with your car and then taking it apart with your hands.
Now that he's got a real bankroll from the Trump campaign, he's taking it out on his enemies. He's trying to squash us because my impersonation was just too clean. Anyway, we were
talking politics
that we wanted to get into today.
Yeah, we're talking politics. We're talking running for president, and so let's get right into the horse race today. There's a lot going on, and voting is actually just beginning. Voting is starting basically now. Here, let me zoom in.
Oh yeah, here. Let me go ahead and throw this up.
You're gonna have to be the presenter. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I can throw them up, but all right. So people are starting to vote September 6th. NC Mail. Then we got 16th. I'm not gonna read them all, but this is happening now. I'm already filling out my second, my third, my fourth ballot. It's
Gavin and I
today.
have ChatGPT filling out all of our ballots, particularly so we can send them to places like Arizona, Georgia, and Florida.
Yeah, it's like, but it's still somehow, it's like making like a really shitty, it's still somehow fucking it up. All you'd have to do is like put the names down, but there's going to be like extra tildes and stuff for Kamala Harris.
You guys have all probably noticed the state of Trump's campaign pretty dismal. Seems to be totally floundering. But from what we've heard, the campaign is really, truly going to start after this weekend, right? That's when he's gonna bring out the big guns and really, roll out their playbook against Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. That's what we've heard. Will it be too late? Is the cake already baked? Well, let me give you a little preview, Gavin, of exactly what the new line of attack is right here, and it's the fact that, folks, Kamala is wearing headphones. Ooh, scandal!
Very unpresidential. It's like a brown suit. Okay, here's the real scandal. This woman's the vice president of the United States, and I'm to believe that she still has to wear Apple headphones from like 2009. Where are the Bose? Where are the noise canceling over the ears headphones that everybody that gets on a private plane wears?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. First of all, it could be. At first, I thought it was a style thing, right? I thought it was like, oh, she's appealing to Gen Z and Gen Alpha with the wired headphones. But actually, if you go back, Kamala has been against Bluetooth technology. I'm pretty sure she's someone who has said in the past she does not like Bluetooth headphones and because she does not trust them. Maybe she knows something 5G. We don't. She's from Silicon Valley. She's from the heart of 5G.
To be fair, it does seem like it would be easier to like hack into Bluetooth technology versus wired. If there's some sort of a security threat, or if she doesn't want like hot mic sort of stuff getting out there, being leaked. I mean,
she doesn't want everybody to know that she's listening to the same 5 ABBA tracks over and over and over again.
Or that. But yeah, I can kind of understand that. If I was paranoid, I might be like, do I really want this like, Bluetooth signal out there? I can just wire this bitch in.
He could wire that bitch in.
Yeah,
it's really a sign that she is she's a woke moralist, and she's afraid of progress. She hates technology, and she's a Luddite. That was my takeaway.
She's gonna bring back the iPod Nano, and it's gonna usher us back into Obama 2.0. But we want to start the show off by doing a big breakdown on the other side of things, because we know there's a whole lot of joy happening with the Democrats. But let's see the other side of the bus meme, where on one side it's all nightmare zone, and the other one is joy, I guess. We've got Trump here. Trump coming out with a big new policy change on abortion. Let's take a listen here.
And you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6-week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I want more weeks too.
I am voting that we need more than 6 weeks. Look, just so you understand, everybody wanted Roe v. Wade terminated for years.
Everyone.
52 years. I got it done. They wanted.
The streets cried out for it.
go back to the states. Exceptions are very important for me, for Ronald Reagan, for others that have navigated this very, very interesting and difficult path. I think
He's so annoyed that he has to talk about this shit. He's like, this is the dumbest issue. I hate these people. Fuck it.
Yep, and it's ultimate. It really is the ultimate deal with the devil, because Trump obviously needed the, and no pun intended, but he needed the evangelical vote. He needed that church-going, super anti-abortion vote to win in 2016, to get their approval, all that stuff. But now that he gave them what they ultimately wanted, which was the overturning of Roe v. Wade, he has to run away from it. He can't even brag about it, although it should be his biggest accomplishment from a conservative perspective. I mean, this is something they've been working on for decades, literally since before I was born. It's been a pipe dream to overturn Roe v. Wade. And now he has to not only run away from it, but kind of actually like agree with some of the criticisms of the legislation that's popping up since then. And he has to, be like, oh, I'm not extreme like those people, even though it's him who's responsible for it.
Oh, I mean, Donald Trump's on record as saying that he's pro-abortion. I mean, Donald Trump has probably paid for so many abortions, his next one's free. I mean, the dude has, it's just probably been a conveyor belt of him shooting loads into ladies and then handing them $800 cash in a cab ride to the fucking Planned Parenthood. I'm just saying.
Between season 1 and 13 of The Apprentice, how many abortions has Trump had on set? I'll say it.
Let's see here. We've got
but here's the thing. Yeah, we're queuing this tweet up here. Is the most annoying people in the world are triggered by this and are like, why can't we just lose and keep this issue alive? Like the lamest fucking people are cringing and crying and being like, we want this radioactive issue to maintain center stage. Let's see our comedian friend Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh,
fellow comedian.
Big guns. Matt Walsh says Amendment 4 in Florida will enshrine a right to murder children.
We got to kill these kids, folks.
That's pretty metal. I didn't realize that Florida was out here keeping for the metalhead vote, but that's an interesting maneuver.
It's called Amendment Volcano. They throw the children in. It's like the Mayans. The Mayans are immigrating and they're changing our amendments.
They're just going brewery hopping, taking pictures of all the cans and using it as, literature for the campaign. Trump needs to make absolutely clear that he will vote against it, aligning with Planned Parenthood and the radical left to defend infanticide.
So radical.
Yeah. Fucking love murdering babies. Would be not only morally abominable, but politically suicidal. It totally demoralizes and alienates your base for the sake of appealing to people who won't vote for you regardless. This is an easy call. And to which my immediate rebuttal is, LOL, you are so dead wrong about this. The more you run again on banning abortion, the more likely you are to lose. It is one of the single motivating issues for people who are under the age of like 40. Basically, everybody wants to have the right to keep it in their back pocket because it's basically a fucking criminal death sentence to have a child in the 21st century.
I do think it kind of it opens an interesting sort of philosophical discussion, though, because there is kind of a mirror going on to some of the issues we're experiencing on the left here, specifically, I think, with like immigration, right? Kamala Harris is responding to the public opinion on immigration by going to the right and trying to be like, oh, I'm just as tough on the border as Donald Trump would be. What do lefties and progressives, specifically commentators, what do they usually say about that? Well, it's not really a good idea to do that because you're not going to trick anyone. If someone's top issue is immigration or the border, they're already going to vote for Republicans. So why would Kamala Harris abandon her base trying to win over these voters that already are probably going to vote for Donald Trump? It's an interesting kind of mirror, like I said, to what's happening on the right with abortion. And I am interested if you think from a strategic perspective, because I tend to agree with you, Zach. Obviously, it wouldn't be smart. It doesn't seem like it would be smart for Trump to lean into abortion. But I also think that, Matt Walsh is kind of correct that Donald Trump isn't going to trick anyone. No one's going to look at this and say, oh, now he's changed his mind and his heart, and he's not going to let the Heritage Foundation pick the next 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices. He's not going to let these radical
he's gonna do that after he wins. Like
right.
If there's more seats that open up, you'll get it then. But he's like, you idiots, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, do you see what I'm saying on the left when the Democrat, runs to the right in order to appease the public and where opinion seems to be on an issue like immigration, we often consider it a mistake. But when Trump does the same thing and runs to the left, quote unquote, on an issue like abortion, everyone seems to think that is smart. So which is it?
I think that I think it varies case by case. I don't think there's any, one size fits all for American politics. I think the reason that when Donald Trump runs away from the most rabid, crazy elements of his base, it's because for a lot of Republican voters, the dog already caught the car. You know what I mean? They did overturn Roe v. Wade. They aren't interested in a national abortion ban. They were interested in having more control over their fucking archaic systems. They want Texas and Mississippi or wherever to be able to ban it, but they also want a place in the South where rich white people can put their fucking, girlfriends or, whoever they cheated with on an airplane and send them to Florida. And that's something that they want to have available to them. So I'm thinking.
So you think Donald Trump should pretend to be more in favor of abortion rights? You think that's the smart move
for him politically? Absolutely.
Yeah,
for him politically, 100%.
I mean, I tend to agree.
It's different,
but I also
it's
think
different though. They're not. There are two separate things because in one sense, the immigration thing, Kamala just doesn't need to do. No one's ever going to believe her, and not enough people are going to. I think on the Democratic side, be like, she's got to have an answer for that. Like it seems like super unnecessary. But then on the abortion thing, that is like a dead fucking lead bell around fucking Trump's neck that's dragging him to the bottom of the ocean. It is a thing. It's like on like 10 states, like as an issue alone outside of
Missouri included.
And so it's just like, it doesn't feel like exactly the same in terms of like needing to do it. Like Kamala doesn't need to do the immigration thing to win. It's stupid for her to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree with that. But I also do think that Trump genuinely does run the risk of seriously pissing off his base. And guess where Donald Trump's support has always come from? Primarily his base. It's not like his, support has ever really come from moderates in the suburbs or whatever. Like, no, he has a very strong base that loves him. But the more he pisses off these people, from the groypers to the abortion folks, like at some point you are risking that foundation being eroded beyond repair, because he can't really reach out and get moderates. He can't really reach out and get independents. That ship has sailed. Everyone's already made up their opinion on Donald Trump. So if now you're pissing off your base by pissing in their face and telling them that even though you use them to get elected, now you're going to abandon their key issues that you agreed were, profoundly important from a moral perspective. Like, I do think that a lot of people are going to be pissed off on the Republican side because they actually
disagree. They're going to vote for him anyways. They're going to cry and they're going to moan, but Matt Walsh and all the people are going to shepherd all of them to vote for them anyways. Evangelicals are like some of the most active voters, and I think they're just going to vote anyways because Kamala is a black person. That's like so activating to them. Like that enough, I think, is something to them.
I agree with that. Ultimately, you're right. Most of them will, but in the same way that Kamala is not going to trick anyone into thinking she's tough on the border or whatever you just said, I also don't think that any independents or moderates are going to be won over by this pivot and think, oh yeah, Trump really has had a change of mind. Now he actually is going to protect reproductive health care rights and women's rights. And I see he's really changed his mind. No, that's also not.
Here's how I would say is the most politically effective way for him to spin that. If he's trying to approach that moderate voter, and I'm just putting on my like MAGA hat and I'm giving him free advice.
Put it on, brother.
Better thread the needle. I think he has to thread the needle, and he has to start getting his defenders to run out there and say, Donald Trump was committed to putting the abortion issue back in the state's hands. However, he understands that a lot of Republicans value freedom above everything. And that means the freedom to make your own decisions with your doctor within the first X amount of weeks. That's Donald Trump's firm position. Now, the evangelicals can cope and see, and he might risk the election. But I think that's where he's backed up against a wall too, because I think if he comes out here and he says, ban it everywhere, ban abortions, from C to signing she, nobody will be aborted. There will be only fetuses everywhere. You must shit out your baby. Everybody's going to have a baby. I have lots of babies. I might have a few more babies. Who knows? Everybody's going to be having more babies. We're going to have lots more babies, folks. That would be a disaster for him, right? But I think Griffin's also kind of right that in the same way that a lot of lefties are like backed up and she just gives you the middle finger and you're like, who the fuck else are you going to vote for? I think Donald Trump has the balls to turn around to the evangelical base, and maybe it'll backfire on him. I'm not saying it's 100% effective, but I think he'll be like, fuck you, vote for the other guy.
Yep.
So, I mean, my last thought on this is who is going to meme harder for Trump? And I think between the groypers and the evangelicals, it's got to be the groypers. I think you have to you have to kowtow. You have to bring the Groypers back in. If you're going to bring one coalition, if one gotta go, it's the evangelicals, because they don't know memes. All they know how to do is bitch and cry. The Groypers will dox you. They will find out where you work.
Your house.
They will. Yeah, they'll be there. But if abortion wasn't like enough, we have our man JD Weird back on the mic. I mean, JD Weird was in the booth for 3 summers recording the weirdest podcasts of all time. And each week, like for 3 summers, he was doing these podcasts. I mean, it is incredible. So abortion or no abortion, women are going to feel very uncomfortable. Let's check it out. Let's
doing 5 shows a day for 3 summers. That's a different world. 3 summers.
That's a way different world. He's the Kanye West of making women uncomfortable.
I have fully developed views on this, but to me, what it is sort of a value system to replace the fact that they're all fundamentally atheist or agnostic. They have no real value system. Their only value system is achieve in a very conventional way. And so
this is I guess is pre-Ozempic, when he was looking a little more Bernstein Bears
idea. Somehow they're pursuing racial or gender equity is like the value system that gives their life meaning. Well, of course, they all find that value system leads to misery, leads to unhappiness. And so I think that what happens is, like, whenever you really pursue something, right? Like, let's say a doctor gives you a medicine to cure a disease and it doesn't work, right? The patient gets worse. Well, you can.
That's like every doctor for me.
Conclude either the medicine isn't working, or the patient was so sick that what they need is even more of the medicine that you originally prescribed. And I think the gender inequity stuff is like, we need more of the medicine. Okay, clearly this value set has made me a miserable person who can't have kids because I already, passed the biological period when it was possible.
Damn.
And I live in a 12.
You gave him the Don Lemon. Pastor Prime.
We're going to cut out to the wide shot and he's going to be on Fresh and Fit.
In New York, and I pay $5,000 a month for it, but I'm really better than these other people. What I'm going to do is project my like racial and gender sensitivities on the rest of them. And like the reason that our society is broken is because these people don't think the exact way that I think. Even though the way that I think has made me a miserable person, I just need to make more people think like that.
He's the happiest person to send this message.
Imagine looking into this guy and you're just like, I want him to be our running mate. This guy has no charisma at all. I wanted to literally fall asleep the second he starts talking. You tune out, you just zone out. It reminds me of being in like 8th grade math, sitting in the back of the room chewing on an eraser while some guy just drones and drones and drones about something I couldn't give a fuck about.
Yeah, a teacher with no riz. I mean, he mentions in this clip like, oh, these people are unhappy in their like $5,000 apartments in big cities where they're not in relationships. And it's like, you're mad at like what, DSA Twitter accounts? Like, I don't, like, you're talking about like 2,000 people, bro. Like, this is, most people are not paying $5,000 for their apartment a month. That's just,
yeah. We also got this interesting tidbit from an article. I'm not exactly sure what article it was published in, but apparently Trump was actually unaware of some of the more incendiary remarks that opponents began rapidly unearthing from J.D. Vance's past, and that the former president told allies that he was troubled by the idea that more comments would come to light as Democrats savaged his heir apparent as weird and anti-woman. So that's pretty crazy. I mean, it really does seem like this guy was not vetted, that at the last minute Trump caved to his son, Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk, these kind of overly online freaks who convinced him to pick JD Vance. But it really doesn't seem like this was a calculated move. It didn't seem like they were ready or prepared to respond to these sort of characterizations that instantly emerged and stuck to JD Vance. It's not just like, they threw some stuff at the wall. No, all this stuff immediately stuck and people were like, yep, he is weird. You're 100% right about that.
Yeah, it's undeniable. I think that the sad reality is that his goose is already cooked. I mean, it's not a sad reality. I think it's hilarious. Like, as far as just like playing the horse race, it's sad because you don't get to speculate on it anymore. But I think he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Kind of as Gavin pointing out, right? Well, you can be like, hey, I'm actually not as crazy as you thought I was. Well, then all of the people who are actually riding with you are going to leave you behind. And all the people who have already written you off over the last 8 years as being unwinnably, unconvinciably deranged, right? fucking ridiculously off the map when it comes to civility and all this other ridiculous stuff. So people have made up their minds about Trump. All he can do is lay in the grave that he's dug for himself. And I think JD Vance was the nail in the coffin. You just can't overcome all of this. You can't overcome all of it. His hubris after the assassination attempt, his derangement in thinking that he was going to be locked in to be running against Joe Biden even before the Democratic convention. It cost him. It's over. There's basically no path to victory for Donald Trump. We've been saying it on our show for months.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Griffin? Because we've been saying that it seems clear as day. It seems like some people like Nate Silver still want to act like it's a 50-50 race. I disagree. I think it's very obvious that this is Kamala's race to lose, barring some crazy, war with Iran or something. I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. But do you have any pushback? Do you still think it's like a dead heat or whatever?
Well, I mean, I love my boy, Mr. Silver and Gold. I mean, he has been saying some things about it in his recent blog posts. I mean, it does seem like one campaign has a lot of momentum and the other one doesn't, and that voting is like already basically happening. But I mean, as we saw from the Kamala interview, she reminded us all that she's incredibly stupid and untalented and bad on her feet. Like whenever she got even
that was your average American's perception of that interview.
Well, when she got even slightly pushed, most of the interview was like a tongue bath, but when she got slightly pushed on issues, she was not confident. She looked down. So, maybe she has some bad debate moments against Trump where she's not good on her feet. Maybe there is an October surprise. I mean, we 100% are going to see Bibi just blowing the shit out of the Middle East right around election season, trying to get that war with Iran going. So, I mean, all those things could happen. But yeah, I mean, Kamala's campaign has momentum right now.
Well, can I ask you another question? Because I've been thinking about this a lot. I totally agree that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to continue to be an unchecked psychopath. There's going to be nothing that Joe Biden does throughout the entirety at all. And honestly, probably nothing after whoever gets elected will happen. But he's going to try desperately to incite Iran into a broader regional conflict. He's going to double, triple, quadruple down. It's going to be in the West Bank. It's not going to have anything to do with Hamas, obviously. It's going to be just a display of fucking cruelty and violence. My question is, do you think most Americans are going to look at that and be like, wow, I wish Donald Trump was in charge of this very fragile global nuclear war situation?
I mean, who knows? Like, the fact that he is very negative on like the Ukraine war, at least like vocally, and like spending all that money, I do think that enough people could be swayed, and at least the undecideds or the few independent people left that haven't turned on a TV. I do think that they could see him as a more anti-war candidate. I mean, compared to the woman who just said we're going to have the most lethal military on earth. Like, I do think there could be contrasts made there. I mean, again, I'm not personally believing that, but
sure,
that is 100% something that Kamala, through her failure by like being super pro-war and all these issues, is kind of giving up as a lane for Trump to at least pretend to be anti-war.
Oops, there goes our
RFK, damn it.
But there's a third dark horse.
We have another
I don't think that the contrast Trump would make in a situation like that, or that his supporters would try to make, I don't even think that they would try to cast him as the anti-war candidate. I think what Trump tries to do, and sometimes is successful in doing, is like casting himself as the peace through strength candidate. That's what him and his surrogates and supporters always say. They say there was peace under Trump, not because he's a bleeding heart anti-war liberal, but because he's so strong that none of our enemies dare to attack us when he's in charge. Of course, Putin was too scared to attack Ukraine under Trump because Trump would have nuked Moscow. That kind of shit.
He doesn't even do that anymore. He's like, no, we're too big of homies. Like, I vibe so hard with everyone. Like, that's what he's like Kim Jong-un. Like, he showed me his like mixtape. Like, it was just like they all like, he's like, no, I'm actually best friends with every person, good or bad, on the planet. It's kind of been his pitch.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying though? Like, I think that's actually, if Trump is able to capitalize on an increasingly volatile situation in the Middle East, it will be through that pitch. He's going to say, yeah, if you put me in charge again, all of these other world leaders are going to be too scared to create this ruckus. They don't want to get America involved if I'm in charge. They don't want America to have to come clean up because it ain't going to be pretty for them. And I do think that, some Americans will fall for that because, obviously the Biden-Harris strategy is just fecklessness in the face of total insanity and just letting Bibi Netanyahu, destroy the Middle East and destroy Israel and destroy Palestine. And it's like, obviously that's not working either. So I do think just because Trump is not currently in charge, he could be like, yeah, I'm going to get in there and I'm not going to be anti-war, but I am going to tell people that they need to stop doing this shit and that they need to, put the guns down or whatever the hell. I think that could be effective, even if it's totally unbelievable to me.
I mean, ultimately, the funniest thing that could happen is that everyone is super confident about Kamala and doesn't pressure her for any policy stuff and just goes along her wave, and then they lose, and then Trump's president again. That would be the funniest outcome in terms of political activism and theory of the case.
I just cannot fathom an outcome. Again, I'm prepared to be wrong because I'm coming out in front of it all. I'm just saying it's a vibes election.
It's a vibes election.
I don't think that Donald Trump can get the vibes back, dude. I don't think he can get the vibes back. I think he's lost too many people. I think the vibes are gone.
Yeah, I mean, he has lost the mojo. It was extracted from his penis like Austin Powers 2, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can get it back in his penis, but we don't know. I think this is a great time to move on because to one last issue with Trump recently that popped up. I know you guys talked about a little bit on the cemetery, but so he got in trouble for doing a political video at a cemetery.
You're not supposed to make political content at a cemetery, or particularly Arlington National Cemetery. I mean, it's kind of the holy grail for people who have died in uniform.
Now, I was a little confused on this because I feel like anytime presidents or politicians pose with any soldier, it's political, right?
100%.
They're doing content, they're getting clips.
I'm going to send you to die so that my career can swell.
But then they apparently they got in a fight with a cemetery worker. What happened?
Well, okay, dude. So hear me out. I'll speak from a little bit of experience. We talked about this on our show a little bit. My mom works with veterans. My dad's a veteran. My grandpa's a veteran. Yada yada yada. Right? Been around these folks. Certain kind of individuals in America, particularly, they have an extreme reverence for the military. Right? They have an extreme reverence towards the people who have served. And when you fuck with the rules at a cemetery where those guys are dying, where those guys died and now live, rested, dead, I don't know if it's called living, you guys aren't, they're fucking buried there, people get really fucking triggered. And I think one of the guys that worked there was trying to do his job. He was trying to do what's right, and Donald Trump had his boys mess him up just like he always has. And he was like, excuse me, so this is a mafia, this is not.
They pushed him over.
Yeah.
And then
honestly, that guy got a taste of how America treats everyone, and it honestly was probably good for him. He was like, hey man, what you believe in, this is all mythology and pageantry. Okay, how we actually treat people is how you got treated. Wake the fuck up. That would be my advice to this poor bastard. But I'm just saying.
And they were calling him mentally deranged or whatever, and I was like, that sounds like any cemetery worker, right? That's kind of
it's toll on you.
Well, that's what you have to be. The guy's like, hey, get out of here, kids. That's just that's normal, But they said they didn't make it political. They weren't trying to do ads. But then, anyways, they did release this video.
Let's go ahead and throw this guy out.
We lost 13 great people. What a horrible day it was.
This indie guitar.
It's actually Tim Pool.
He's bragging about I didn't lose any people. This graveyard would be a lot smaller if I had been in charge.
He can't not do the thumbs up at the graveyard. He's physically incapable of it. So I guess that didn't seem political. That didn't seem political to me. That felt like a slice of life. It felt like a slice of life.
This is a man that loves his. Hey Griffin, I know you're an East Coast liberal, okay, but back in God's country, it ain't political to love your country and love the truth. Ain't that right, Gavin? That's America. Crack a beer, son.
The funny thing about
wave your flag.
The funny thing about all this to me is between this mess up on Trump's part and the comments about, how recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom are somehow more important or better than recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Like between that flub and this cemetery thing, they're really failing in their attempts to cast the Democrats as the anti-military.
That don't love the wars enough. Yeah,
exactly. And they tried to call Tim Walz a draft dodger, or that he was a coward, he didn't deploy to Iraq and all this stuff. Like, what? Look at this, piece of garbage. He's a fake veteran and stuff. And then meanwhile, Trump's just over here putting his foot in his mouth every 5 seconds, blatantly disrespecting not only the military and recipients of the Medal of Freedom, but also the cemetery, the Arlington Cemetery itself. Is hallowed, sacred grounds, in the eyes of the military community. He's going to try it out here to make a political TikTok video. This is scandalous if that's what you really care about.
And I was most offended by Trump being backed by indie guitar, because it felt like a very weird genre for him. It was like Trump to fall asleep to was kind of the vibe, which is kind of like what the campaign is right now. It is kind of just Trump ASMR complaining about stop the steal until you fall asleep. He is sleepy Dawn now. But you mentioned Tim Walz, you mentioned stolen valor. Ding, 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 ding. That's the word of the day. Woo! We've got it, folks. Tim Walz is cooked. He is screwed. I mean, Tim Walz is running for the hills because we've tried to find his Achilles heel. What is it? Is it going to be stolen valor? Is it going to be that he is a bad father? Is it going to be that he loves his father too? Doesn't like his son, hates his son, bad father, good father? We're not sure, but we've exposed it. Tim Walz's brother is here, and he is exposing Walz. He is going to spread the word. He's going to take stage.
Wine version of his brother,
and he's going to tell us what's really going on in this sicko's head. Because I've been wondering and postulating on this show for a while, being like, what are we going to find out about this guy? Because there's got to be something weird, right? If you want to be president, if you want to be in the White House, you have some skeletons in your closet,
Yeah.
It's so funny too, because imagine how pathetic and worthless your life has to be that your brother is going to be the vice presidential nominee, and all you have to do is go out and try and take petty, cheap shots at him because your life is worthless and you accomplished nothing. You can't even be proud of your own brother, and yet you want to go up there and pretend like the Republican Party is the party of family values. Look, my brother, if he ran as a Republican VP, I would kick his fucking ass, but you'd never get me off the phone with him because I would constantly be trying to negotiate with the guy. Why would you it just proves that you're a bad brother, that you don't have a relationship to the guy, that you don't love each other, that you don't have any kind of emotional family connection, and now you're just trying to ride a cheap wave to slander your own family. This was gross. Honestly, I want the Republicans to lean more into this because it's going to rub even their own face the wrong way.
We need to elevate Brother Walz here. I mean, look at the hat too, the fedora. He's a white hat Walz. He's coming in.
I was thinking this looks like a before and after photo, like before and after you start listening to Alex Jones or something like that. Because they do obviously look like brothers. It's also funny because one of the very first interviews Tim Walz did when he was kind of campaigning for VP, I think it was on MSNBC or something.
He's like, don't listen to my brother. You're going to hear from my brother. Do not trust him. He looks a lot like me, but he wears a hat.
He did talk about, however, one of the most annoying aspects of the Trump era being that, you couldn't just go to a Thanksgiving dinner without having to fight your family, your crazy uncle or brother, might have gone to the dark side in the last 8 years. So
he warned us about this.
His brother's just fulfilling the prophecy, coming out of the woodwork to be like, and it's
Tim 100% knew this was coming. He's like, there are going to be family members that are going to say lies about you. But Gavin, you had some quotes, right, from the brother.
Yeah, so let's take a look over here, guys. We have a Daily Beast article breaking down this story. Tim Walz's brother is 100% opposed to his ideology, 100% opposed to universal meals in schools or such wholesome policy proposals. He wants kids to pay more, actually.
Minnesota's not Maoist China.
Jeff Walz is a no tampon household. His wife free bleeds, okay? all around the house.
And it looks like Jeff Walz is potentially a Matt Taibbi subscriber, because here he is plagiarizing Matt's favorite line every time anything bad happens to Trump. We've just become a third world banana republic. Quite the hyperbolic language.
It's also sad too. He obviously the rest of his family doesn't love him. His community doesn't fuck with him, unless they just did him really dirty. And that Facebook post did numbers after they sniped it and got the little, snipping tool grab.
Only 5 likes,
5 engagements,
1 sad reaction.
Yeah, I think it was 4 likes and 1
that's
cry
huge for Facebook. That's actually huge for Facebook. That's
Not
actually
if you're
putting
over
up
the age of
numbers.
60. Everybody you know and everybody you've ever met in your entire life follows you on Facebook if you're over the age of 60.
Anyway,
they needed to add an AI. They needed to add an AI image to the post if they wanted to really do numbers on 2024
Posts like
Facebook.
this never go viral. Anyway, let's take a look here, guys. Tim Walz's brother railed against the Democratic vice presidential pick, claiming his younger sibling was not the type of character you want making decisions about your future. I'm 100% opposed to all his ideology, Jeff Walz, 67, wrote of the Minnesota governor in a series of comments on Facebook published by the New York Post. The Florida resident and registered Republican who donated to Trump's 2016 presidential campaign also mused publicly about endorsing the GOP ticket. So this Liz O'Neill friend of his says, help MAGA. Get on stage with President Trump and endorse him. Help save this country. To which Jeff responds, I've thought hard about doing something like that. I'm torn between that and just keeping my family out of it. The stories I could tell, not the type of character you want making decisions about your future. So I'm interested. I mean, what stories are out there? What did he like freaking molest you when you were a young boy or something? Like what possibly could you tell us? That's not just like standard boilerplate family drama, behind the scenes petty BS that every family goes through. Like, what are you really going to tell us about this guy that's that damning?
Well, what's hilarious is that the only thing that's going to come out of this guy's mouth are a bunch of like the most embarrassing, resentment-filled criticisms of his brother, who worked his way up from being a school teacher and was a football coach, beloved by his community, goes to Congress. The guy's just jealous, obviously. It's born by insane jealousy because his brother came from the exact same circumstances as him, came from the exact same environment, raised by the same parents in the same small town. And instead, he chose a different path. And this guy is now crying and fucking pissing his pants about how, oh, my little brother, he's crazy because he just became a liberal and became super successful. Wah. That's what it's a politics of resentment.
I'm gonna try to be good faith here. I'm gonna say I think he's got maybe some DUIs, hopefully, but that could make him more relatable.
Tim Walz also has a DUI, to be fair, but she apparently
yeah, exactly, right. Tim already has a DUI, right? God, so relatable. He's unbeatable. And then their late brother Craig Walz died after being struck by a falling tree.
I did not know this.
Oh my God,
that's actually a bummer. That's kind of a Midwestern story, though. If their brother died after being struck by a falling tree, it's like, man, you grew up in a small town in Minnesota. No, you didn't. Yeah, do you want to hear my brother died? Nobody's challenging his credentials anywhere. You can't be like, this guy ain't really middle America.
I think this is going to work. I think he's going to come out and say that like Tim Walz doesn't like signal when he does left turns or something like that, or it's like a bad parker. It's going to be great. This is what's going to take Tim down. Finally, the evil beast known as Tim. I mean, but guys, let's be real. I know he's saying a lot of good stuff, this Tim guy, but do we not think could be potentially something evil about him? I mean, has there ever been a good person trying to get into the White House?
No, but Tim Walz is going to be the first one. That's what it is. Jimmy
okay, all right.
Peanut farmer from Georgia.
I'll do my own. I'm going to do my own opposition research because the Republicans aren't doing. I'm going to help them out a little bit. I'm going to talk to Tim's brother.
This man has impenetrable moral character. Well, I'm not saying he's like Mr. Rogers. I'm just saying, given what we're used to, I think it's pretty clear that even if you just look at the man's accomplishments, again, take his personal. Is he evil? Is he a good man? Is he, a Jedi or evil? Who cares? Yeah. Look at what he's actually done. I don't think you can argue with that. I don't think you can deny the man's accomplishments of helping his constituents and following through on what he was elected to accomplish. So, I mean, to me, that's, how you judge a politician. Obviously, I'm sure people can spam the chat with 5 or 6 horrific stories that will make me cringe. But yeah, I mean, compared to just an obvious psychopath like Josh Shapiro or a freaking corporate stooge like Mark Kelly, yeah, I think that, I mean, it's something to be optimistic about.
We talked about them not doing any research on Vance beforehand. And what I will give the Harris campaign is it really does seem like they have Hollywood casting people like working somewhere within there, because like watching Josh Shapiro speak at the DNC, watching Mark Kelly speak, these were stinkers. Like they are not charismatic.
Bro, Mark Kelly might be the worst speaker I've ever seen in my entire life. Putting aside his inspirational wife who did survive a bullet, to the head, and that is a story.
And he's an astronaut too. He has an inspiration.
Send him back to space,
bro. 100%.
Let's trade him with the track.
You think going to space would at least give you like some amount of riz? Like I've been to space, bitch. I've seen it from a bird's eye view. Look at you, been fucking.
I think he might have been the worst speaker I saw out of any night.
Yeah.
Total trash. So I got to give that to the Harris campaign. But
I do agree. I also think that there's a chance Tim Walz was literally picked just because he was an infinitely better communicator than even Andy Bashir, who was my second choice. But he's miserable on the mic compared to Tim Walz.
He's got nothing on the mic. I saw Bashir at the DNC. We talked to him for a second, and I was like, this guy sucks. He was awful. It was limp. It was very limp presence in the hallway. But
didn't offer me a single hit of his blunt. It was a freaking disaster. I saw him. I says, hey, Andy. I offer him a dab. He doesn't take my dab. Disaster.
There were blunts at the DNC. The second that people made up that Beyonce was coming to the DNC, blunts did start going out. This media lady came up to me and she was like, I don't have a lighter for this blunt. And I helped her light her blunt. And then she let me hit the blunt. And then Mehdi Hassan like showed up behind me and was like, hey, what's this? What? Cheerio. What's going on? Hamas?
Dude, people in England, they always want to put tobacco in their blunts. I'm like, no, stop it. Stop.
There's something wrong with a spliff.
I hate spliffs. They give me headaches.
Let's sprinkle some tobacco.
I can't inhale tobacco. Like some people who have smoked cigarettes, they can like inhale the tobacco like you normally would. Every time I try and inhale a spliff, I just cough like I'm a 7-year-old pussy.
No, it's sick. But anyways, let's wave goodbye to Trump, because we have other stories to talk about with this clip from another leader, someone who's making sure Trump wins this race. Laura Trump, head of the RNC, has released a new single.
Lara.
A banger.
Let me present this here. Sorry.
Let's present it, Griffin. Let's not put the cart before the horse. Okay, this is the wrong one. Let's put this one. Okay, the right one.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
This is like the second week of American Idol. They're feeling themselves because they made it to Hollywood, but none of them can really sing. None of them are musicians. You know what I mean? It's like, so you've got all these people who are doing like the hardest karaoke performances of their entire lives. They don't play any instruments. They can't read sheet music. They're showing up. They're slightly off key, but they're singing their hearts out, right? Because they want to be the next American Idol. I feel like this lady really wants to be.
She's
next American.
I think she's listening to our show. I said that we need more Forgiato Blow, more music as part of the Trump thing, so they can regain that joy. It is interesting, Zach, that you do mention that she does have sort of that bad singer quality. Because let's take the auto tune off for this next clip to really hear what Laura Trump's voice sounds like.
Ooh.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the
And now we're back to week 1 at American Idol.
Tryouts for American Idol.
Well, I won't back down.
And this lady is like currently the head of the RNC, right?
You can stand me up at the gates of hell.
Is this live for someone? Is there an audience besides the producer she's probably given a handsome amount of money to correct what she's done?
I mean, she's live streaming to her OF where I'm a paying pig.
Wait, OnlyFans?
No. But anyways,
I was fucked.
You were pumped.
The head of the RNC, right?
Yeah, that was why it would be big news if
Yeah.
she had an OnlyFans.
So that leads us, we mentioned an October surprise. There are protests happening right now in our little brother country of Israel here. Let me throw some of this up here.
The protests are not happening. See, Griffin, I'll steal your bit. I'll be like, these are not protesters. These are Hamas soldiers. These are occupiers. These are crisis actors. They are here to destroy the great country of Israel. Okay.
Iran has paid these TikTokers to smear their feces on the beautiful Ben Gurion airport. They've smeared their piss and feces, and now we must respond. We must respond. These are liberals, Columbia students in Tel Aviv. These are the graduating class of 2023. Yeah, so we've got the protesters here. They're making a big thing because I got a clip here too. This one's good because they're getting hit with the skunk water.
Interrupt this anti-Semitic broadcast for a moment here, everyone. Excuse me, man. Buddy, I know you're a good kid over here, Mr. Sir with the mustache. I remember the 70s. Okay, I had a good time on port sets. I imagine you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I want you to know you're indulging in hateful anti-Semitic rhetoric, sir. And
RFK, I'm just reading the news. I'm calling it as I see it. These are protests. These are Hamas protesters.
I won't rest until all of the bright children of my beloved country. I love New York. I'm from New York. My father loved New York.
The Big Apple.
Person, and I won't see it fall into the.
Bobby, thank you. Bobby, thank you so much for being a friend to Israel, Bobby. You've done incredible things. I've given you unlimited access to our roadkill in Israel, Bobby. We have the best roadkill in all of the Middle East. We invented hitting an animal with your car and then taking it apart with your hands.
Let's go
Israel actually, it is a Middle East cuisine to eat the roadkill, to devour the animal, the Amalek. We say, would you prefer Amalek fried or battered, steamed?
Play the clip.
Israel Yum Chai.
Griffin sounds like Sesame Street Count Dracula. Israel is run by Count Dracula. All right, so this is them getting hit by skunk water.
That's skunk shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They're getting hit with the Pepe Le Pew. We have unleashed Pepe Le Pew on the Hamas protesters in Israel. So yeah, I mean, wow. This is what they call an imperial boomerang, y'all. We throw that skunk water out. Someday that skunk water gonna get shot back at you. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like RFK takes shots of skunk water. Like he rinses his mouth with it when he brushes his teeth.
It keeps him young. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we have these protests here, and they said, hey, we are going to do a general strike because Netanyahu is not getting the hostages back or whatever. That's what the majority of these protesters are here. I think there was 300,000 people in the streets of Israel to not like say, hey, we should stop killing everyone and find a ceasefire. They mainly just want the hostages back. Then we can keep killing everyone. So it's about as far left as it gets over there right now.
Yeah, unfortunately so. And as far left as it gets over here is the cheerleading it on and saying, sure, you want the skunk juice? We'll give you all the skunk juice you want, but we're going to do it with the girl boss snap and pivot.
Yeah. So, and speaking of which, go for it.
I was going to say, I have to imagine, even if you're a bloodthirsty Zionist, even if you hate Palestinian people and you're just viciously racist.
Check.
Okay. Yeah, you're living in Israel. And you hold all of those viewpoints. You're on the far right. Don't don't you want to live in like a non-war torn environment? Like, isn't that scary, to have this like potential war with Iran and this potential, broader regional conflict at risk of exploding at any minute, right? Like, even if you're really committed to Zionism, wouldn't you, as an Israeli citizen, much prefer Bibi just like wrap this shit up and get the ceasefire deal that's on the table, end the war, get the hostages, and at least restore some sense of normalcy, right? Like, isn't that, don't you think that is eventually, if not already, where the public opinion is going to turn?
Gavin, that's super gay. We're not doing that at all. No way. No way, because then I would immediately go to jail. It would be not good. But yes, folks, once again, Circle Jerk America has shot from the half line and made it many weeks earlier. Netanyahu has claimed that the general strike and the protesters in Israel are Sinwar and Hamas. It is official, confirmed from the #1 intelligence agency in the world.
Yes, 100%. And you know what? I don't know why this image really powerfully just speaks to me in the, words of Zach De La Roca, front man for Rage Against the Machine. But
let's see what our boy has to say. So, I guess they say, Israel says they found like 6 dead hostages. And the thing that a lot of the Zionists online right now are saying is that the hostages were shot in the back of the head, like execution style, by Hamas. But we don't actually have a whole lot of proof of that yet, or like how these bodies were actually found or whatever. But so anyways, that's kind of the setting right now as more information comes out. Let's see what Biden has to say though in response to all this.
Planning to present a final hostage deal to the both sides this week.
We're very close to that.
What makes you think that this deal will be successful in a way that the other deals were not?
Hope springs eternal.
Mr. President, do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I can't get over how he looks already dead. Like, you just look at this guy, he looks like a worm from a
demonstrations across Israel. What is your reaction to the demonstrations?
I'm gonna get the detail when I walk in, so now fuck you after that. Okay?
Looking good, looking rested after his 5 vacations in the last 2 weeks. That's too many vacations. I'm sorry. I go on vacation, I'm exhausted after, and he's always on vacation somewhere. I mean, that takes a lot out of you.
Griffin, when you go on vacation, you're seeing the sights. When Joe Biden goes on vacation, they're unplugging his battery. Okay, they're turning off the machine and they're letting it reboot and fucking update. Right? That's
that's got to feel kind of good. That's probably got to feel hella good for a second.
Have you ever seen The Phantom Menace? When he's on vacation, he's C-3PO when he's still under the tarp in Anakin's mom's house. Okay, that's what they're doing to him when you're not looking to him. They're putting him on a spaceship. Okay, to Tatooine or wherever the fuck.
You nailed it.
There we go. Boom.
You'll survive the night of the internet. So he's being tough. I mean, I forgot this guy was president. I really did. I think most people have.
He's not president. That's the sad part.
I mean, has he done any? Like, has he done? I mean, he didn't do a lot of stuff normally. But I mean, man, like the disappearance of him entirely.
He's in Pittsburgh with Kamala, or was that last night? They were supposed to do their first campaign rally together, but other than that, he hasn't been around at all.
Yeah, they're like wheeled him out, and it's like, my advice is just don't. You don't have to wheel him out. Let's just keep forgetting. Let's keep forgetting. Someone in the chat says, have you guys heard about the situation on Aurora, Colorado? The Hells Angels have arrived. Crazy times. Okay, so I hate to do this, but we started this podcast to tackle disinformation and to solve discourse on the internet, make it more civilized. That is a fake clip going around. I don't know if anyone wants to pull it up. The Hells Angels clip is fake. That's a video from 2013. But I do love the conservatives' fascination with Hells Angels.
I'm a little bit confused on what's going on in Aurora.
I have no idea.
Videos.
All right.
People,
we can do this live. We can figure this out. So the Aurora thing, there's videos going around of Aurora has fallen to the immigrants' the mobs, I guess, of
For
immigrants.
people who don't know, Aurora is like
Colorado.
a stone throw from Denver. Right before, it's like suburbs of Denver. Right before you get into Denver, you're in Aurora, Colorado.
It's the Dark Knight Joker shooting city. That's why everyone knows Aurora. The Dark Knight shooting, right?
Is this
Joker.
is this in the immigrants or whatever?
So there was So this. Click on the bottom left image. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is the video that's been going around, and it's like armed Venezuelans, and they're just like they're doing like DoorDash delivery or something. Like I don't know. They all have guns, and they just like are on this cam, and they just like walk in and out of this apartment, and then the clip ends. And now they're saying like, "Oh, don't worry, the Hell's Angels are coming. The Hell's Angels are coming."
A bunch of 70-year-old fucking cross-burning racists are gonna sell you meth along the way and also defend Aurora, Colorado.
And I'm sorry, but it's like, guys, like the Hell's Angels, like they haven't been badass for like 40 years. Like the most badass thing the Hell's Angels do is like they like show up to like a Make-A-Wish Foundation event. Like that's the hardcore ass shit.
They take pictures with Hulk Hogan, brother.
They're like they do like events where everyone makes sure to register their gun. Like it's just like these are not the Hells Angels of the past, but they're like, don't worry, the Hells Angels are coming. And it's like I guess they don't have the Proud Boys anymore, so they can't say like the Proud Boys are coming because they're all in jail now. I mean,
for January 6th,
Yeah. Also,
they're lacking militia.
Yeah, and also we just had like a somewhat similar situation in the UK, right, where there was like a big mob of anti-immigrant like vigilantes that were going after some poor innocent people that were the victim of fake news, and it got claimed that these immigrants were behind some crime that didn't actually happen, and then it was like a literal mob justice kind of. It was crazy, right? So it's like, how about we don't do that here in America too? That'd be great.
And also, just
so funny.
The Hells Angels can't do
Voldemort. He thinks they're Voldemort. You don't say their name, otherwise they're gonna come for you. Can't believe you're talking about that. They're so brave on the internet.
Watch out! They're gonna come and they're gonna like help replace my tire on the side of the road. Like these are they're pussies. Come for me, Hells Angels. We're officially enemies of the pod.
They're all riding. They can't ride motorcycles anymore, so they have the 3-wheeled ones for when your back goes in your older age. So you've got the it's like one of those sitting lawnmowers essentially that's tearing down the highway. Griffin, those probably never made it out to your parts, but
I know what you're talking about though. I did spend summers in Houston. Okay, so the thing is like, yeah, the Hells Angels are just super lame. There's no militias left for the conservatives to be like super scary about. It is all things like what Gavin mentioned with the UK thing, which is just like people do enough racist memes to like everyone's like in the street. And that's like that has a lot less of a fraternal brotherhood aspect to it. It's
you know what's crazy? I'll tout this. My grandpa, for people who are deep heads of the Vanguard, you see him in the chat sometimes. That dude was trying to be a Hells Angel in the late 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit was hard as fuck back then in Louisville, Kentucky. That's when Hunter Thompson was writing about it, and he signed his ass up for the Vietnam War, I believe. That's in response to that, because he decided being a biker wasn't for him. You know what I mean?
And Tim Walz hid. He hid from the Vietnam War. Was that the war?
Unlike Donald Trump. No, the war that Tim Walz.
Tim Walz did not fight in World War II. He let his World War II soldiers down. But we have South America stuff to talk about, though. Venezuela. It's great that we mentioned that Venezuelan mobs are taking over Aurora, Colorado. Let's look south for a second, because there's been a fight between our beautiful genius Elon Musk and Brazil. Have you guys been tracking this story?
Bro, yes. All of the most annoying people you've ever heard in your entire life, they're obsessed with this issue right now. And to me, what it comes down to is Elon Musk is probably, Gavin actually put it very succinctly, the last guy you would want in South America, period. So it's hard for me to grapple with Elon will coup whoever you want. We want Musk, getting his company banned from Brazil. If I'm Lula da Silva, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here, bro. I hate you. We'll coup whoever we want. Well, guess what? We'll ban whatever company we want, and our Supreme Court will uphold it.
Yeah, exactly. When he definitely cucked Elon a bit on this one. But it's like, I mean, I guess they wanted like to just ban like a couple accounts or something like that. Like I don't know, #censorship. But Yes,
Elon gets to decide who gets free speech or not.
And it's just like they're like, oh well, it's great. Elon is standing up to censorship against Brazil, but it's totally fine when he does it for India or Turkey or Israel or like any of these other places. He got one at least. He got the lefty Lula down.
When he bans white dudes for Kamala, that's based.
Yeah.
Oh, did he ban that?
Yes, dude. I remember because I got to do my joke like every day for like a week where I was like, Matt Taibbi, where you at on Twitter? And every time I would like put the little Bart Simpson thing where it's like, say the line, everybody. And then it would be like,
Yeah. And I mean, the reason why that joke is so funny is because Elon Musk has turned Twitter or X into literally everything that the Twitter files
about him
pretended it was before Elon Musk. And that's not to say there was nothing sketchy and nothing worth exposing under the previous regime at Twitter, but I mean, whatever censorious behavior was going on looks just it looks like just petty. It looks like nothing compared to what Elon Musk has turned the platform into, which is just a straight up propaganda machine. I mean, it's very clear that the algorithm is being rigged to try to feed people, regardless of their political persuasion, the most insane far-right propaganda, pro-Trump propaganda, cultural propaganda, and just like straight up Nazi shit, like just blatant like pro-slavery memes. Like, yeah, this is why slavery is necessary because black people are inferior, and here's a chart that proves it. Like, you'll see that kind of shit going viral. So it's like, I mean,
this afternoon, let's all pause and think: was Hitler wrong? Like, that's like all the memes are these days.
Yeah, that's what Twitter is now, and it's an intentional like decision. It's not just Elon Musk, allowing free speech to flourish and whatever discourse rises to the top. No, it's literally an intentional decision to make the social media platform into a right-wing brainwashing, apparatus. Right. And, I'm a little bit mixed, I guess, on the decision from Lula because I'm a free speech absolutist and I definitely like using Twitter. But Elon Musk is not he's not elected, right? At least the people in Brazil making these decisions are, and they're supposedly acting in the best interests of their citizens. Elon Musk is just the world's richest man who took over this previously valuable platform and turned it into his hodgepodge of sludge and garbage. So yeah, fuck him.
Also, I would just like to add that it's not really a free speech issue. It's a free trade issue, right? Can this company operate in Brazil? You know what I mean? Do you have the right to start a company in America, be the richest man, and then operate in Brazil? They've said no. We say no to all kinds of fucking companies operating in America. You can't buy cheap, well-manufactured cars in here because we have a fucking firm grip on no cars coming in from China, right? Why won't we do that? It's best for the American consumers. Well, because we've decided it's bad for our auto manufacturing companies. We've decided that manufacturing cars in this country is something that we're willing to do. So we'll, with our allies, we'll let Germany send some cars, specific cars that we say it's okay to. We'll let Japan and South Korea send cars, some cars that we say it's okay to. But if China makes a banging car that will last 10 times as long and run on water, we're not letting people buy it here. We're not letting them sell it here and open up shops, right? Bark up that tree. How about that? I want to see the same people that are so fucking outraged about Brazil banning X getting outraged about how they can't buy a Chinese electric car. Instead, Elon Musk is trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to lobby the government to not let Chinese electric cars into this, and then also lobby that he has the right to do his business in every country in the world, coup whoever he wants, steal their fucking lithium. Okay? Yeah. I'm not hearing it from that guy.
AKA the boy who lived. Roll the clip.
Hey, I got this guy right here.
He's the hero of our times. So yeah, this is obviously Elon Musk, aka the boy who lived, defeating some random Brazilian judge no one's heard about until now. We can keep that rolling. It's very, very awful.
Yeah, I was like, is that supposed to be a Lula?
I was worried that we would get fucking copyright, but I think we'll be fine.
Wait, from this? No, from truth, from a real life event happening, a political two men facing off. I mean, I love a lot of things about this, but the one thing I did think about when I saw this video go around conservative circles and how everybody loved it was, this is the final evolution of conservatives becoming liberal snowflakes. That they are literally the Harry Potter watchers now. They are sorting each other into Hogwarts houses. They are doing Harry Potter memes. These are officially the snowflakes. These are the snowflakes. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see.
So true.
Man.
So true.
I don't know. Hard for me to get worked up for the world's richest man. I'll tell you that much. Although I do feel bad. My heart longs for the people of Brazil who will have to find a different pastime for themselves.
I just want Elon Musk to get bored of X and sell it back to someone who can just turn it into Twitter again. I'm just so sick of it.
Yeah.
He should sell it to us for like $1, and then we'll go to jail for him. We'll get all the ad people back. But yeah, I mean that's all I had today, guys. Did we have anything else that we needed to get off our chests? We have the debates next week, obviously. We should.
Absolutely.
Are we planning on streaming those, and how are we feeling about the debate?
I believe this will be our last Circle Jerks that's ever recorded in this location. So we should, do a little star cross right here. I'll be moving out of this little location. We have a much nicer studio set up. You're going to see some exposed brick. You're going to see some better lighting. You're going to see some more decor. Griffin is going to be so kind as to help us make sure it all works. So that's awesome. So super excited about that. This is our last and final Circle Jerk in this room.
Yeah, expect a lot of place ads. We're gonna start doing a lot of ad reads on the show. I mean, I know you guys aren't doing HelloFresh ads, but we're doing lots of HelloFresh ads. We're doing Blue Apron. We're doing the one that sends like raw milk to you. We're gonna do that one.
Yeah.
And I do want to get to the point where we're selling gold, cash for gold. I want to sell cash for gold.
That's how we know we're true lefties. The only authentic people are the ones who will sell you athletic green supplements. Alpha Brain. That's always a reliable source of information. If you see those fuckers advertising for you, also gold is always a good investment. It always is a good investment. All the people I know who are the richest people, they always buy gold. They never buy anything but gold. And that's why if you see a billionaire, all of his assets are in gold. He just has gold bars everywhere because gold is the serious way to invest your money. You invest it in gold.
Someone said HelloFresh is an Israeli company. Well, yes, you have to get your meals to the once a week, 3 meals a day. You guys
call it Tesseract in this country.
I love HelloFresh. HelloFresh, we're gonna audition for you next week. But yeah, debates, guys. I mean, how are we feeling? They're talking about fighting about the mics.
I almost ended the live stream because I thought it would be funny to end the live stream while you were talking about
that would be good. Cut me off at some point.
But instead I'm just gonna do it right now. Bye, guys.